Hello everyone. Welcome to WCC Wisdom Commerce classes, and we are continuing ahead with our OC lecture. Previous time we finished on 1.3. Today we are going to go ahead with 1.4. The title of today's topic is Significance of Management Principles. Now, significance means importance. So why do we need all these management principles in our organization in the first place? Well, there are many points to explain so. Beginning with the first point, and you can look in your PDFs. At the same time, like I said before, always keep on jotting down anything extra important that I say in my explanation, be it a word, idiom, phrase, or a term, which is going to helpful to you in your writing of answers. Okay, so why do we need management principles? Well, the first point is management principles provides useful insight to managers. All these management principles haven't come out of thin air. All these management principles are an outcome of the vast experience of the various professional people all across the world since past 100 years. So all these management principles were created by various managers in different companies of different countries to make sure that the organization, the company, the factory, the mill, the office runs smoothly. The use of these principles helps managers about the manner in which they should act in different situations in their company. So these principles are a timely guidance, are a timely reference which will reduce the wastage of resources, and the managers will be able to achieve their goals in an appropriate manner, in a time-bound manner. So all these principles give good insight to our managers, hence their significance. That's the first point. Moving on. Second, these principles are helpful in efficient utilization of resources. As mentioned in the PDF, there are two resources: physical resources, human resources, and the problem with resources is that they are always limited. So we have to make sure that these resources are put to optimum use without any wastage, without any misuse. So if you have scientific management principles implemented in your company, in your factory, none of your resources will ever go in vain. You will be able to establish cordial relationship between management and employees by using these scientific management principles. Doing so will increase the efficiency level of employees and thus bring about effective administration. For example, use of standard tools and machinery will help in increasing quality or productivity of your employees, thus increasing the level of efficiency of human resources. Once again, the bottom line is implement the scientific principles of management. That's the significance. Moving on. Third, scientific decisions. All these scientific principles, management principles, will help train the managers to handle the most critical situations tactfully. Otherwise, without these principles, the managers will always resort to trial and error method, which will not only waste time but also waste resources and might end up in bad decisions. So whether to implement this scientific principle or not gets cleared when you see their importance. So always, it's only with the use of various management principles that one can get an idea about how to analyze the situations, to search alternative options, and their fair results. So all these principles of management are nothing but scientific decisions. That's good. Fourth, understanding social responsibility. Management principles will help you to understand that you as a company, you as a factory, you as an organization have a social responsibility to your environment, to your surroundings. These scientific principles of management will help you come up with quality products at reasonable prices, avoiding artificial monopolistic situations in the market so that you can give customers choices. You will always provide fair competition, fair remuneration, which means salary, change in the environment. You will, with the help of these scientific management principles, provide a healthy working place. Also, you will give out standard tools and machinery to the workers on the factory floor. So, all in all, these management principles are really important for a company. Fifth point is encourages research and development. Well, principles of management are dynamic. Dynamic means fast moving, fast changing. And since the nature of the business world keeps on evolving, the scientific principles need to help the company come up with new ways of producing goods, providing services. And this is where the company needs to have a scientific approach towards research and development, growth and development of organization. Having these principles implemented in your company, in your factory, in your office will provide training to the employees. This R&D department will work on finding new techniques in the field of production, finance, marketing, human resources. Overall, your company will always be up to mark, up to date with the surrounding world. Sixth point, helps to coordinate and control. Yes, management principles are the guidelines for better coordination and control of your factory, of your office, of your employees. Because it is very challenging to create coordination, cooperation among different employees working in different departments. We have to make sure that they work as a cohesive unit. They gel together. They come together. There is a teamwork happening. Plus, the manager needs to keep a tight control on the performance of employees. Management principles always offer systems, suitable systems, which will help establish coordination and control. Seventh, develops objective approach. Like I said, these principles are scientific in nature, so they are not subjective as per a particular manager in any company. These principles are objective in nature, which means if you implement them the way they are supposed to be implemented, you're going to get similar results everywhere in the world. If managers justify, implement these management principles the way they are supposed to, each and every one of them will get the same kind of results. Isn't this great? So following these scientific principles, these principles of management will definitely build confidence in the minds of the manager. That is why we all have to follow management principles through and through, completely, without any argument, without any debate. So these were the 7 points. I hope you must have understood properly. For any doubt, question, query, you can write in the comment section below of this video, or you can ask them in person when the classroom lectures will duly begin. Alright, now for the heart of this chapter, for the main gist of this chapter, theories of management. Management is a vast field. There are many theories by many various management thinkers, all trying to help managers, employees, to make sure that they get the best out of them. All these theories are applicable in all types of organizations. Agreed with some appropriate modifications, managers can innovate, invent new techniques and strategies also. So, in this section, we are going to study the main answer of this chapter, the big answer of this particular chapter. We are going to meet Henry Fayol, the real father of management, the real big daddy of modern management. Well, exactly who was he? He was a French mining engineer who turned a leading industrialist and a successful manager. Yes, engineer to manager. Now that's something. He started his career as a mining engineer in a French mining company, and then he became the CMD of the company. And after conducting many experiments and observations in his organization, he proposed 14 principles of management, which he explained in his famous book, General and Industrial Administration, GIA. Due to his contribution in development of managerial thoughts, he is called as father of modern management. So let's see Henry Fayol and unke 14 principles. Yes, a big answer to be memorized, to be understood, to be by-hearted, to be learnt properly. Okay, all right. So, the first principle of modern management by Henry Fayol is the principle of division of work, which simply says every work within the company, within the factory, within the office should be divided into different kinds of small little works, such as technical, financial, commercial, security operations, accounting, managerial, and all these works, when divided into small sections and departments and compartments, they should have their own experts looking after those works. Division of work helps in improving efficiency and expertise of employees, which ultimately turns into expected productivity level overall. The way it happens in cricket, every player is given his role on the field, and he is supposed to enact his expertise while a role on the field. So the work is divided. ये नहीं होगा कि that one single player is going to bat 11 times, bowl all the overs, field on his own in all the positions, and be the wicketkeeper also. No way. You have different members in the team doing different works. That's always the ideal way of going about. In a marriage-like situation also, when there is a marriage at someone's home, the work gets divided among all the family members. One is going to look after the bride section, the other is going to look at the groom section, someone is going to attend to the decoration, someone is going to attend to all the catering, the welcoming of guests, the preparation of the hall, all the other nitty-gritty details. But no one single person will be doing everything. Division of work is at most essential. Moving on, next. Principle of authority and responsibility. Well, now, authority means the ability, the right to take decisions. And it is important in a person, it is necessary in a person to get the things done appropriately from his subordinates, from his workers. Now, authority always comes with the responsibility. Yes. No person in this world can say that I am going to have the authority without the responsibility. If Virat Kohli is the captain of the Indian cricket team, if he is the authority on the field, then he has to take on the responsibility. If he wants to get all the accolades, all the praises, all the claps after winning a match, then he has to accept all the criticisms, all the condemnation after he loses a match. He has to face the music, he has to face the reporters, the fans, and their billion expectations. He can't run away, he can't hide. Authority and responsibility goes hand in hand. So managers ought to remember this whenever they take any decision in the company, whenever they give any worker any work, any task, that it should happen within a proposed time, within a particular time. So authority and responsibility, two sides of the same coin. Principle of discipline. Now, discipline is the main pillar, the foundation pillar of any organization. You must have noticed that Marvel Studios always releases the dates of their upcoming movies. Many a times they release the dates of 3 to 4 years in the future. Yes, movies which are supposed to be released in 2023 or to 2024, 2025 in fact, are already given to you in 2020 itself. Why? Because now this is going to make sure that all the producers and the directors and the actors complete their work on time. There will be discipline on the sets. There will be discipline in the acting, in the directing. No one is going to waste their valuable time. Nobody is going to waste the precious resources for filming and creating this movie. That's what discipline does. It helps you to follow the itinerary, the schedule, the timetable properly. So discipline helps to achieve the goals in the organization. And once again, good discipline is a result of effective leadership. So basic discipline should be observed at all levels of management. Principle of unity of command. This is a must important point to be remembered. Each and every member of the organization should receive orders from only one superior at a given time. Imagine a subordinate having 2 to 3 superiors, all giving him orders, random, different variety full of orders. He'll go crazy doing all the running around for fulfilling those orders. There will be a real conflict in the organization. There will be a real confusion in the organization. So, at any given point of time, one subordinate will always have one superior whom he is going to report to at the end of the day. This is what you call an organizational hierarchy. The way we see in schools, there is a principal, under him there will be a vice principal or a headmaster, under him will be all the teachers. All the teachers will know that they are supposed to report to that one single vice principal or the headmaster, or maybe the head teacher of their departments, the individual respective departments. There is no confusion in such a hierarchical presentation of order. This is what you call unity of command. Every subordinate knowing who is his immediate superior, from whom he should receive orders only. That's good. Moving on, we have principle of unity of direction. If there is a unity of command, then there should be a unity of direction in the company. Each and every single employee should be aware exactly for which goal they are working, exactly to accomplish which mission, to achieve which motive they are working towards. Employees should be given the big picture. They should be told why are they working, for what are they working, so that they can also follow that big plan in a proper manner. So there should be a goal-oriented way of doing things. There should be a real purpose behind the work of each and every employee. No randomness, but unity. Unity of direction. Next point, sixth. Principle of subordination of individual interest to organizational interest. Now, employees always tend to complain, why me? But rather than saying, why me, learn to say, let me. That's what you call the team comes first before individual interest. During the early 2000s, when there wasn't a proper wicketkeeper with the Indian cricket team, Rahul Dravid, the classic batsman, rose up, stepped up, and not only handled the responsibility of batting, but also being the wicketkeeper of the team. Same was done by KL Rahul. That shows the dedication of these players towards team. They didn't say, why should I do this? They only said, let me do this. Because an employee is supposed to protect the interests of the organization first. He is supposed to subordinate his own personal interest. The team comes first. The organization comes first. It's all about the team winning the match rather than any individual records. So, don't be self-centered, self-focused, or selfish. Always dedicate all your energy, all your interest towards the fulfilling of organizational goals. Good. I hope you're understanding. Next, principle of centralization. Centralization means the way we see in many schools and colleges where there is only one single authority sitting at the top of the pyramid, sitting at the top of the summit. He is the one man who concentrates all the powers and authorities within him. All the power is vested in one hand, or maybe few hands around him. Such thing happens in small organizations, but in big organizations like Reliance Jio, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tatas and the Birlas, these companies prefer to have decentralization. Power controlled by different people on the different levels of hierarchy. Top level management have different people in powerful positions, middle level management has different people in powerful positions, and lower level management has different people in powerful positions. But in a small company, in a small office, if you want to get the job done, centralization is preferred. And in a big company, there will be both centralization and decentralization running hand in hand together. There will be a coordination, a proper balance between centralization and decentralization. So this principle depends upon the size of the organization or the nature of the activity of the company. What are they manufacturing? What are they producing? Or what their services? Next, principle of remuneration. Yes, like we have seen, if the employees are provided fair remuneration, justified salary, they will work more efficiently. The productivity and efficiency level will be high, up in the sky. Yes. So if you want to make sure that the organization overall is benefited by the performance of the employees, then the remuneration should be fixed by taking into consideration the skill, the expertise, the knowledge, tenure, cost of living, market trend, profitability of the organization. But the remuneration should be fair. Never ever any employee should feel that he's not getting what he truly deserves, that he's being paid peanuts. And these days, we have contracts given to employees. Yes, there's a contractual way of doing things. 3 to 5 to 10 years of contracts are created, and employees are always given time to time promotion too. Thus, employees always come up with the best of their efforts in the improvement of the performance of the company. That's good. Moving ahead. Principle of scalar chain.